Hello. Oh, my screen is busy. Anyone here? Hey, Mike.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to see. I might have an echo. Do you hear me well?
Yeah, I'm losing a little bit there.
Yeah, the bandwidth is a little bit. I was trying to see if I can
That's
do
better.
a live, but I'm not sure. I might not have enough bandwidth for doing it live.
Yeah, it looks like your bandwidth is coming in and out.
Yeah, let me check. Because I wanted to go live on YouTube too, but maybe if I cut half of my bandwidth this way. Is it better now?
Yeah, that seems better.
Okay, so let me try this way. Yeah. Should we wait for other people? I guess, huh? A little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me publish the link again so that people know where to click.
Yeah.
It's weird the Facebook with all the security SSL thing.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, and Google have done something too, but like I mentioned.
So what does that mean? Is that we are not allowed to post links anymore? Or?
Well, what happened is when I got the warning message from Facebook, there was no SSL. It was just HTTP. That's why I sort of presented it like that to you, but then you confirmed that it was SSL. So I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. I mean, if you post with SSL, it seems to do these things, and without, does it? If you do just a plain HTTP, does it have the same warning?
That's when you get a warning, but and that's what it looked like in the warning that I got. It was just HTTP. There was no SSL.
Okay.
So, but when I go to it, because of that, instead of going to it from Facebook, I'm just.
I just post the link from the Zoom, and it says that I have to type a captcha thing.
Right.
It's crazy, insane.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on with the internet at this point, one way or another.
We should switch and do everything on live.
Definitely. I mean, I've been since we last talked about it, and I was already in the midst of recording some music, so I'm trying to balance between the two, you know.
Yeah. For the music recording, there is no problem, right? You just upload in the cloud the MP3, right?
Yes, I have 2 or 3 different places that I put music. So some are MP3 and some actually are just WAV files, which are a lot bigger, as you probably know.
Yeah, that's way bigger, yeah.
So I actually had some albums on iTunes and Amazon too, but I sort of stopped. I had to pay money for those to go there, and I stopped doing that. I just use the free sites now, basically. Yeah. SoundCloud.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can get the PowerPoint. I didn't get the PowerPoint. I mean, my PowerPoint crashed, but I will use the PDF then.
Yeah, and I have a copy of PowerPoint here that I got from my.
That's okay. The PDF will be okay.
Yeah.
We have a presentation mode for PDF, I guess. No, I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know. I've not used Zoom much at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
But by the way, is your name Michelle?
Yeah, it's Michelle.
Okay, thank you.
So should we start and then people will jump in? Because
well, we can wait, certainly.
Okay, let's wait a little bit. Here you go.
Uh-huh.
So and then also see if I can. I wanted to see if I can do the live part 2. Where is it? I'm not used to those video system.
No, I've not used it.
Here you go. So I will broadcast on YouTube in the same time. There you go. So we are live on YouTube and recording on Zoom. So hello everyone. So I'm here with Mike from Oregon. Myself, I'm in Switzerland, and we will talk about cryptocurrency, or at least the currency, how we want to design it so that it supports the new paradigm shift, meaning transitioning towards a more loving society and humanity. So I have a presentation that I've made a while ago. It's probably a bit more than a year ago, but it's still, it's still current in the sense that all the ideas behind are important when we consider cryptocurrency. And if we want to move away from capitalism or scarcity-based type of economical system or monetary system, there's a few points that we can propose to replace that. So Mike and all the other people that are listening online, feel free to join. The Zoom link is on the Facebook, and probably on the people that are from ASC Keys. They have the link on the messenger too. So let me pull up the slide. So I should switch to my screen, sharing my screen. There you go. Let me know if you see it properly.
Yes, looks okay to me.
So that's the PowerPoint. I don't know if I can put, if I do full screen, is there a way? Full screen like that. Here you go, even better. So the idea is to have a currency that is more in line with what we think in terms of vision, what we want to go towards, and moving away from the oil-based industry, that's how I call it, is where we use scarce resources or all the oil industry. And it's more like supporting a renewable type of industry. And that's why I call it renewable money. And you will see in the sense that it's renewable in the sense that it's supports the fact that nature is abundant. The principle is instead of having centralized bank, the principle is having it totally distributed and even decentralized, so that everybody is managing his own funds. So it's like having a full bank in your pocket. So that's the idea behind, and we will see in details. So how do we go towards a sharing economy? There is one thing that we have to notice in the current world, is that all the businesses are more or less for profit. And what does that mean is that they rely on the margin that you make on products, manufacturing a product and selling it. So the margin, the problem is that with the technology nowadays is going close to zero. So if you have a near zero margin, then you have the whole chain that collapse. If it does collapse from crisis to crisis, and that's what we observe nowadays in nowadays economy. To be able to do that type of economical system, we also need to have a zero margin transaction cost. If you look at the cards, it's successful because there's nothing for any credit card transaction. And so, and also speed is very important. If you talk to everybody on the planet, you have to at least similar or not better than a credit card transaction, which is fast because they verify. So meaning they run the transaction, and then they have all the system to deal with the fraud and insurance and everything. And that's why they can be fast. So if we do cryptocurrency, we have the advantage of leveraging of the network from the internet for the high speed possible action, but need to keep the timing, the latency very, very low. So one of the principles with a new currency would be, instead of moving from to debt and having a system where it's a slave because you owe somebody all the time, we do the opposite. Instead of having a debt, we do credit. And so it grants with this currency, we grant credit for every individual. And so once you have those basic key features, then you can have in the following slide, you can have totally different of economical system. So let me give you the basic fundamental principle where it's the system rely on. If you have a question, don't hesitate to mind.
I'm on mute, Michelle. I don't hear you.
I was on the other end because I just see my screen, so I don't see you.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that you're still there and everything is streaming good. So one of the principle is that to do commerce, we don't need money. So if you look at the historical way money appears, it has been something to facilitate commerce, but it's not required. And it's a way also that the elites or the people that were owning the power at that time, so that was a way for them to have a better control of the commerce. The fact that we exchange token or coins is not necessary for doing commerce. What is necessary is a track of what is the law, what are the exchange. Meaning if I buy a bunch of hay for my farm, then I need to record that exchange so that I can give back to the donor saying the product. So it's only control is necessary, not the exchange of token. We are saying it's an exchange of token, but it's not necessary. The other thing that's important is that it needs to be, and it's like everything in nature, it needs to be equilibrium. If you purchase something, then so it means you receive something. In terms of economic commerce, it's an importation. You have some goods, and that means at a later stage, immediately you have to export the value. So that means is then we turn to the equilibrium and it's also sustaining. So the other thing is that we don't token, we only need the request to equilibrium. So there is this kind of Swiss guy that is giving the good specific according to the principle. So if you, like I said, if you want to keep the flow of the goods, if you give something, it's an export, and it will help the balance goes towards the exportation of direction. What I mean is that means that you need to have a future. So an export is like future imports from the community. If you give something to the community, that means later you have an import from the community. And when you receive, when you are receiving it, when you receive it, the balance goes towards the importation side, and it's translated like a future exportation to the community. When you look at the monetary system, it's when you import that you have the creation of the money. You know, when the central bank is printing money, is that type of things that happen at your importation. It's the IOU of things to give it back later. So when we observe in capitalism, in the system that we know today, is that when you buy and sell something, it's always to one logic. Is you have a daily plan, you have a credit type of thing. You owe somebody some money, and the problem with that is that it creates some kind of dependency and link. So if you look at the old system, the balance system, if you owe somebody a given value, you might not be able to give it back because that's not your skills. Imagine you're a teacher and just bought some food, and the guy might not. The guy that sold you the food might not be interested in receiving a lecture in mathematics, right? And so this one-to-one dependency, something that is blocking, you owe something, you feel trapped all the time. So how to remove that type of one-to-one dependency is that instead of having all transaction into one-to-one, like almost all monetary system that is today, you do it from one-to-many. So when you give to the community. So that can be a gift to a given member of the community or the society. However, your track on the flow is not tied to that person. If you give something to one person, you have the promise of return from the community, not from that person. So if you action in that way, that every time that you give is you give, and I give you credits from the community. Every time that you receive back from a given person, but what you have to give back is to the community. You don't have to give back at the exact same person. And that's totally break down the IOU type of thing that makes yourself from thriving or giving all your talents. If you're a musician and you know I need to give music, then you can give back to the community without way. As long as the equipment that you have taken from community is fine. I mean, as long as you continue with it. So the main difference here is one-to-many rather than one-to-one type of transaction and karmic link, if you want. We can call it that. So I also, in those basic principles, I add also two extra rules. The thing is to be able to be sustainable in the long run. So in equilibrium is important for sustainability. It also is the sharing of all the commons, the sharing of all that nature is capable of giving us. And so if you look at the current financial system, is that we don't have a real feedback between production and consumption. We produce more and more and more and more and more, and that translates by the producers who want us to consume more and more and more. And so we go to a mode where we totally detect nature from the resources. We consume energy, we consume minerals, we burn oil, and all that. And the reason is that there is no feedback. If the extra production were to be distributed to the workforce, then you have a total feedback. And we won't produce too much because then we won't consume because it's already distributed. So we need someone there that sees feedback. So the rule is no waste production. The production needs to be tied to what nature is capable of adding in our resources.
Yes.
The second thing is there is a sovereign right to exist for every living being on the planet. They are on this planet that is abundant, and they have a right to exist. They have a right to thrive. So how do we incorporate those two rules in an economical or commerce type of system? So there is one thing I said, the feedback on the excess production. So that's in modern economical terms, that can be the solution that we have. We have built and there will be a reach human equilibrium. So without things go cheap, labor, we go through all the crisis side of employment and non-employment type of thing that we see in our modern societies. Yeah. So the sovereign right to exist can translate to a free credit. So that everybody has a free credit to be able to exist. What does that mean? Is that it provides for food, for shelters. So a bit different is the base income, where basic income is given, for free without anything asked. This is different, is that you don't have a basic income, but you have a free credit for investing in what you want and being able to be productive. And so I need to be able to be autonomous. So the things of the free credit, you cannot really give the uncontrolled free credit. It has to be sized to what nature is capable of providing. Yes. So yes. The question is, what is the capability of nature? And so we will see how we can measure that and being able to set a size on the free credit. The other thing is that if you have a free credit, it's totally the vote. It's that the people as a way of controlling their local economy, as a way of participating in local projects and that type of thing. Today, I build a windmill. For instance, I have to go to the bank, and the bank will decide to give me credit or not. So they make the decision. So that means they totally control what's going on locally and in the world. So if you have a bank-based system as we know today, we control nothing in terms of how we invest in the project around. It's how we think it's important for the economy, for the community, and that type of thing. So if you have a free credit, you put the money where it matters. And so that means really you can participate in something that makes the humanity advance. You can participate in projects that you totally believe in, and so the right of vote and participation. So how do we imagine nature capability? There's one thing is I take the apple tree already. The apple tree example is how many apples nature is capable of producing. As a first guess, we might not know. But there's one thing that cannot integrate with the apple. So it can produce only the amount of apples that nature, the animals, or the apples decay. So there is the intrinsic equilibrium in nature is you cannot produce something in a higher quantity than you can consume it.
Okay.
And so let me close my window because there's a storm here. Yeah. So if the apple tree can produce is based on how it decays or how the worms or the animals will eat it. So in a monetary system, can we mimic that type of thing? Is yes. If it puts a natural erosion on everything at a given rate, then it will by construction limit erosion type of thing. So we can do that by forcing a negative interest on a monetary account. So if you want to do accounting, you will match the going in and what's coming out. So that's good accounting practice. Is you match the importation and the exportation. If you have a negative interest, what that means is that if you have some saving, it will disappear over time. It will decay. So like you left the apple alone, then it will get more old and it will disappear. If you size the interest about 1% or now 7.6% per year, you can reach a good balance based on the what is required for living, for having your food and shelter covered. So what does that mean is that the fact that you have saved money that disappear, this decay will be used to finance all the credit. So basically, you get out of a system that is totally not debt-based, but it's a system that if you have a debt, this debt also will decay with a negative interest. So what does that mean is that this debt will be paid over the time. And this also goes, the funny is that when we do math about the 11% type of negative interest, we figure out that the debt will go to zero in about 50 years. And that's very funny because it's corresponds to a jubilee type of things in a biblical type of text. So we see those things where all your debts are clear in 50 years. That's 50% in 6 years type of thing. And this just by using the diminishing of the saving. So all that is reduced on the saving side is the same negative balance. And so if you have that type of thing, you by construction go to the equilibrium. But if someone has a debt, 50 years after, he has no debt. If someone has money sitting there and it's not used, so that means not investing in current projects, then it will disappear for sure. And that's also give you an incentive not to hoard money. So meaning that you know that it will decrease 11% per year by construction. And if you do know that, you will use it. It's money that you have to spend. And that's also a good word in a sense that myself and probably consider money as energy, and energy that you activate to do things. It's really like water. You know, if you store water in a sealed container, it will get spoiled. But if the water is running and you can make electricity, you can whatever, it's full of life. And money is the same. So if you hold money, then it's dead. If you make it circulate, then it's facilitates the commerce, the economy, and all those things. So placing this type of decay rate on saving will give an incentive for people to spend the money. So what does that mean is to invest in the project they like. It's like an incentive to vote. So vote at the current present time, then you miss opportunities. If you vote, then you get activated in your community. So that's the implementation of the idea. And so Nording, so you get away from all the type of thing. And so if you don't have that type of then you also solve the corruption for them. Because if you steal that money, if you keep for yourself doesn't invest back into the community, it was nothing.
Yeah.
On top of that, this system is not based on the token that you exchange, so it's only based on book that you keep. It's a bookkeeping type of thing. So that means there is no. If you don't have a token, the value is not attached to the token. The value is attached to the owner of the account. And so basically, what is the value of the living being that is sitting in the book? And so you cannot steal that. So that's a way of also making sure that you don't fall into the old system where you have to overprotect the currency. You have to try to make mechanism for cryptocurrency where you do double spending, you avoid double spending, and all those things. And then if you guarantee that the sovereignty of the account that is attached to the one living person, then all those problems are solved. It's similar problem to resolve, and you have the same thing where you have the Byzantine, and if you're a computer science guy, you have the Byzantine problem the same way. But you don't have to solve at every transaction the boss of the token. You don't have to. The things that you have to solve is more like the CB attack. You want to guarantee that only one sovereign account is owned by one living being.
Yes.
And that can be addressed. It's more authentication type of thing. There's ways of doing it. I mean, you do it with a physical way, like a government passport type of thing. If you want to do it fully, it's a bit tricky, but there is it. So for sharing economy, like I say, is one to many. So it's also an incentive to give back not only to the NGO but to the community. So it's a way of promoting your talent. If you want to know all the system pay forward, type of thing, the karma kitchen, and all those things. It's about the same.
Okay, I mean, no, really, I will say my own, just a question, more of a feeling. I mean, reading up on the two leading cryptocurrencies, which I do on Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of them have problems at the moment. Ethereum got hacked, you probably know about that, and Bitcoin is facing a fork. So I've never, again, this is a personal opinion, and it may not be helpful to your presentation, but I've never been seeing cryptocurrency because I've never felt it was anything different enough to, standard systems.
I mean, on the base, they are based on a scarcity. You have a little mine that costs energy. Energy is electricity you burn, it's that you burn to the resources. So, and that's why for me, every cryptocurrency that is based on the proof of work of is beyond the world, it's beyond the whole industry. And so you have a chance for people to mine or to mint cryptocurrency on something else. Because right now, all the implementation, Bitcoin, even keys that are based on the proof of work.
Right.
But even assume that they are the ones that are generated, and I think that's what it is that in case there's a fixed amount, a fixed volume, a monetary mass that has been mined for different times, so that's different cost. That's fine. However, because the fixed monetary mass, then it belongs to a scarcity system. So and it's also reliable. So the value rely on adoption. I mean, if everybody uses the keys, then perfect. If nobody uses the keys, then that's the value. I mean, it's good as a transition system. Because first, I mean, there is the mindset of that is also move towards them. Good, so that's important. But as a transition, because we move system to something we're going. And so as an intermediate type of financial system, it's good. The fact that there's also a fixed amount that it's prevented from free trading and the full swing all the currency that we have there. The valuation, inflation, and speculation. So you can take it on. This is good. But the paid for system is like I forgot exactly where it is. Probably in California. But there's restaurants where you go and you order your meal, and when you ask for the bill at the end, you give a receipt with zero. And there's a lot. It costs you zero. We're happy to offer you meal. However, you enable paying for the next step to do it. Yeah. So, and it's funny enough, looking at that type of business model, it never worked, but it did work fantastically. And so, because people want to make them happy, they receive the zero notes. They are motivated for paying the food. And so, the successful thing is, you can be every day. You have the way on the bridge, and then you just pay for mine. And the people probably will pay for you. And instead of having, so with only a very little, you make an avalanche of good energy. Yes. And so that's the incentive. As long as we have a link that you don't go to an individual community, give back to the community. Or if you're in a mood of, you want to receive the people, pay and give right away. Right. So free credit, so that's the difference is that if you need to have a project and you want to invest for a project, you can, instead of having the bank print money, you can print your own money. And so what it means is that on your balance sheet on the book, you just say, and if I need to pay a war, you have $1 on your book. You don't need more than that.
So what's interesting is that you can give you as much as credit that you want of printing your USD. However, is that there's a certain return to the equilibrium. If you only print money, the value of your own money decrease. So you have buying power if you give it too much credit. So the way, I don't know if I talked about it in the stand, I didn't yet. The way you evaluate the size of the credit is based on living expense. For instance, in Switzerland, it probably costs $1,000 to live for mass for $2,000. In other countries, I guess if you go in underdeveloped area where there are not foods in nature, you might need only $500. So that's local cost, living cost, basically. And that's probably how we need for just surviving existing and existing that base. So basically, is that everybody's talking is following and figuring out. And let's consider individual, it's like thinking dollars. Even individuals, they have their own dollars. It's like the Michel dollars, the my dollar. If we can sell those currencies to the local living, then we can do value. I don't know, but you can say if I'm selling you my car, I will sell my car, say 3,000 Michel dollars. But you don't know how much Michel dollars worth. It depends on how I bookkeeping, how I pay for myself and all this. However, what you know is that I'm living in an area that is valued at 2,000 a month. You're living in an area, let's say, Chicago, Oregon, is like 1,500. You know that's 2,000 Michel dollars worth 2,000 Mike dollars. So if I sell you my car on the application that will give you the price of the car, myself I enter to sell my car for $1,000. On your side of your book, you will say want to sell this car for 2,000 Mike dollars. And therefore you don't accept the transaction, or you negotiate. But you negotiate always in your internal system, your internal banking, like if you do transaction with your own currency. So you know the worth that you imagine, you know your value, you know values of things, you know values of assets in your locality, and you just assess is my car 2,000 Mike dollars worth or not. Okay. And then if you accept the transaction, you record your 2,000 importation of goods from the community, and you will have to be productive and provide the equivalent of 2,000 Mike dollars. Right. And myself, I will have based on this transaction, I will automatically on my book 3,000 Michel dollars. Okay. So that's important, is that there's no value attached to everybody, in the sense that it's our lifestyle, the way we want to live. The way if we want a lot of money, then you print it, but it will not devalue it, but it will worth less when you do negotiation with other people. Yeah. Or people who are buying your stuff if to their eyes it's too expensive. So it's all self-control, and based on the point that we saw before with the decay of your selling and all those things, it's self-returning to equilibrium, and it's paying for the depths of the people in the community. So this works well if you rely on everybody's capable, especially initially when you launch that economic system, if everybody's capable of providing for their needs. So if you're autonomous in a sense that you give back to the community more than what you take, then it works. However, if you have the always in the society, you have some people that you have the sick, you have the people that are less capable of providing for their needs. But that's where the whole community can take care. Is that with the extra production, we can redistribute to everybody, including to the people in need. So the free credit, even if you're not capable of being autonomous, I mean you receive more from the community than what you capable of reimbursing. The fact, so that means you accumulate less, but the fact that it's paid naturally with the system. That's allow you that's allow with the community to have a certain amount of people that cannot provide for needs. Okay. Michel, one thing to say, this David, join us while you're speaking. Okay. Hello, David.
Hi.
So I don't know what you joined. So
I just joined like around 3 minutes ago.
So what I can
say, I do understand what you're saying.
Okay, what I can do is go back to what I can do is I can have Mike give an overview of what we talked, if you don't mind.
Well, no, I don't mind. I mean, I should state my reason for being here. I mean, because I don't have a great confidence in the current cryptocurrency paradigm as it stands, because to me it's just another abstraction of the same mechanism that's caused most of the problems that we have, which is in speculating and investing on abstractions, which is what money is and what cryptocurrency is. So I talked to Michel a little bit the other day on technology stuff, IPFS and blockchain, and he mentioned that he got this presentation, and we actually shared it using IPFS, or he shared it with me. But basically, from what you've said, Michel, and I'm listening to it for the first time.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, what I say is I want to see how you perceived it, and also if you have questions that I can answer. So I mean, it's good you can talk a little bit brief, David. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, what you're proposing is not a cryptocurrency and or a passing of tokens. What you're proposing, it seems to me, is a very fair accounting system, which I'm guessing you're going to get to. How it's maintained. I'm calling it that because you mentioned books, keeping a book and so on and so forth. So I'm calling it an accounting system because it's a point of relativity. But I'm guessing you're going to get to the point where how this can be maintained. So, what my take so far is it's not a cryptocurrency in the sense of what's going on at the moment. It's not something that can be speculated upon and create value to its own right. I mean, the one thing. Sorry, I'll finish with one point because it's relative to recent. So, like Ethereum's worth about $180 million, I think we'll call it that. That to me is nonsensical because we're equating something that shouldn't be equated to currency, and then what that does, it gets people, as they have done, and they've done it with Bitcoin and other things, they become fixated by making money from the currency, and that's not absolute arrant nonsense. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that answered your question.
Yes, the difference what I was proposing, David, is that to avoid falling back into the greedy system, capitalistic type of stories, because if you look at the history, the money initially was made for a good purpose. But we deviate and then we add all these power control type of game that evolve over time, over centuries, to the system that we have today. And so, and I think that there is a lot of things that can be done to avoid the corruption, to avoid the greed that we can see today. And then first is that if you do a non-token based economical system, that means you don't place value on an object. That means you don't have the corruption, you won't steal that token, it can be physical or crypto, is the same. There is no value on money, then you won't steal it. Or you don't try to take control of it. And so the idea is having a system that facilitates the commerce. So instead of tracking token that moves around for facilitating the commerce, we track balance, we track the exchange of goods, the flows. And so it still can be based on the cryptocurrency or on the blockchain, because what is a blockchain is like a notary book that is available for everybody. It's a ledger, right? And so by having a non-token based commerce system, then you avoid a lot of problems. You don't have to have the double spending thing. You do have to, because if you don't place the value on the token, you place the value on the people. So you have to authenticate people. And so you have the civil attack problem rather than the double spending. Or you have the authentication problem. But the value is on the people. So the value is on the people that would keep their book and that we do the commerce and transaction. So that's the main idea behind. David, any comment?
Yeah, a little bit. Is that if each person sets their own value for something, how do you standardize that exchange? Because somebody might not agree with that value. Some person, for example, agree who says that this is worth 3,000 microcoin, and that person says it's not worth 3,000 microcoins, or only worth like 2 microcoin,
yeah,
like that.
But
this people tend to inflate their own currency or value, or because it's all subjective. It's like let's say my wife will say that this is worth 3,000 microcoin, example.
Yes.
But my sister will say, that's not worth like 0. I wouldn't.
I agree.
Pay.
But this problem is true for every currency. Everything you have a problem of pricing. So you can have control price. You can have a system that control price. That's fine. Or people agree on a given price or negotiate. The thing is that is important, and it's true also in the spiritual world. When we do healing,
how much do we charge for our healing session, you know? And most of the time, it's like you have what? How should I say? We have. Let me change my microphone because I have an echo. Most of the time, it's a self-worth, the value that you put to yourself. So if you believe that your work to the community worth a lot, you will ask a lot. However, if nobody will buy you your services or will go for your healing session, then you will readjust your price. So it's something that follow all price, you know, evolution of things. Anything to say, David?
Yes, the reason why commerce can happen is we have a standardized measurement. That means like a person here agrees that this is the price that a person, example, in Africa or Singapore or other would agree to that price, and it's easy to exchange. But if you have to negotiate each time you have to exchange something, it gets into a headache. I mean, it might take days. It's not instant transaction. It's sort of like barter. It's what they're saying is like it's barter. Basically, the
what do you
token
think?
represents a barter product. Like for example, person A and the second person is a second barter product. B, basically, what you're putting is a barter system on a token. That's what you're doing, you know.
I don't think it's in barter in the sense that the barter you have a double the coincidence of the ones, right? Here you don't have. I mean, you can negotiate, but you can also go for the same standardized price because the transaction is made in standard value, which is living expense in the current location you are in. So it's normalized. The transaction, there is value behind, but the value is behind is based on your existing cost, basically.
Yeah, but there's still barter because actually you're putting at your service or something on a token, then another person is putting something and you're exchanging that between each other. Isn't that like barter in a sense? Maybe Mike, maybe what do you think, Mike?
I mean, my own point, I haven't gotten yet to the, or Michelle hasn't got to the point as to how this works from a technological standpoint, and I think that's a key element. Although obviously what you're talking about, David, is obviously a key point too. But I mean, I'm repeating myself here. My feeling is that the current forms of cryptocurrency, all the ones I've seen anyway, are not where it's at. You know, because that's why we've got people speculating on, you know, making fortunes on ICOs, speculating on currencies. I mean, it's that's not where we've got to get to. That's my opinion. And if we don't get beyond that, then there'll be a lot of. We're in the sixth mass extinction. I mean, that's it. It's as simple as that. Which it's not about having breathing space. It's about we have to do something, and that's my motivation in being in all of this. It's not to make money or anything like that. I've never bought cryptocurrency because I don't like its ideals. So, and I just know we're facing these immutable, I'll use that word, challenges, which they're not going away, you know. And I mean, that's my motivation. So I don't want to answer your question, Michelle. I'm looking for something that can get us into a different world where we're not relying on the ongoing consumption of the Earth's finite resources, because they're not going to be there. Simple as that.
Us, example, what we're launching is a decentralized economic system on a blockchain where wealth is generated by caring for Mother Earth and caring for each other. So it is a new system, although we have the Earth Dollar and Earth Bank that is attached to it. But what we're launching is it's actually a whole new economic system that works on a blockchain, you know? So
Yeah.
just an example, not to take away anything from Michael's work or anything, but I think it's complementary to what he's doing.
I do. I see it that way too, and I've read a lot about what you're planning, David, and what you're able to do, and I know that you're trying to mitigate a conflict by what you're trying to do, and that's laudable. I mean, one of the problems we have is that we've all been. I mean, I'm 69 years old, and in my lifetime, I've been educated in a particular way, which makes what we've got seem normal. Well, in that same 69 years, we have caused more damage to the environment than all of the other human history put together. So what I've learned and the way I've lived certainly isn't right, you know. I know I'm being very sort of esoteric here, but that's my drive in all of this. I want to get to a place where my grandchildren have a future world that's worth living in. And it's not looking like that at the moment. So I'm listening to everything about those sorts of things, what you're doing and what Michelle's doing, and everybody else.
Perhaps Michelle can continue with his presentation, then after we can understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, so I can go back a little bit to the presentation, and let me go back to a few slides earlier. Here you go. So can I go back full screen again? Full screen. And I need to share it. Do you guys see it?
Yes.
So David, so for you quickly. So what I was saying is that we don't need the money, we don't need token for doing commerce. And what's really important is recording the flow of goods so that you have a way of returning to the equilibrium. If you buy something, that's like you import something in your system, and every import you have to have an equivalent export. And so that's why keeping the book, say I receive 50 kilograms of fruits, then I need to give, imagine that I'm a teacher, I need to give that amount of lecture back to the community. And
it's like the LET system, I guess, like the LET system, LETS, LETS, that was based on, but yours is based on exchange of the product. Is that right?
Exchange. Well, it's monetized in the sense that there is a price in a currency based things. Is I buy $50 of fruit and I produce the equivalent of $50 of my own work. So the thing is that the difference between an existing monetized system is that instead of when you give some services to your community or to a person, it's like an exploitation for your book. And what does that mean is that the balance goes towards your action, and that means it's a promise of a future import. When you receive something, you receive a services, you buy something, it's the balance goes the other way, and it's a promise of a future export. And that's where you have the currency creating thing. Every time that you import goods on your book, it creates money. So in that sense, it's a fiat currency, the same way the current banking system is. The only difference is that you want to extract principal under it. If you want to avoid extra pollution, that is wasteful for nature. You want something that is tied to nature, so that you don't deplay for the you don't have the planet. And the thing is, you want to have be totally sovereign in what how you fund things. Yours as a living being, you don't do money where it should go. And so different banking systems, you're totally in charge of your own balance book. You're totally in charge of it's like you own your own bank. It's like this like living. Is that there's no bank, there's no bank. It's as many banks as living being. And so the question is, how do you make sure that there's no wasteful production? Is you redistribute the dividend, you redistribute the extra production in your community. And that's the way we're missing in modern society. The other thing is that because you're on your own bank, you can give yourself credit for it. And the question is, how do you size your rate? And it ties to the nature of it. And if we do the math in our system, it's like having negative interest all money on your accounts. So if you have a balance, you know, if you have an erosion of your saving, then it's systematic.
The advantage of this option is that it's paying for that. 8 days after a jubilee of 50 years, all debts are cancelled. And that's just probably the advantage in modern financial system. We are tied with the number because we are in debt. We have to pay mortgage and all things. It's a debt system. It's a SaaS solution. Here, you can, if you want, bank can put as much money as you want. You just get and then pay for the people that need to exist. Pay for the waste needs. So that's the idea behind. And because of that, we don't have the grid. We don't have to make money because if it's decayed at 11%, it's not if you spend it, that means if you don't use your voting power by investing in that, then you lose your unit. So you don't want to be able to amass your state. You want
inflation in the dollar. When there's inflation, your buying power decreases. After when you go for bread now, and in 1 year it's cost more.
It's not inflation in the sense that your buying power will change.
Yeah, that's like you said, buying power decreases 11%. So inflation.
It's not your buying power. It's that you store. You don't use your money.
Yeah, so that's the same thing. Let's say 1 year from now, inflation would be at example 11%. So you let's say you spend it now, it's that same buying power that you 1 year from now.
Yes, okay. That is.
Yeah. So it would be 11%. Like inflation is another inflation rate. I think they 4% per year. So yours would be 11%. People will want to have spent.
So the 11% is based on what nature is capable of providing to you. So that's how we compute the 11%.
I don't think nature is the natural log of E is at 2.71%. It's not 11%. If nature was decreasing 11% per year, we would have no more fishes in the ocean. If that's the case,
so that's the equivalent of 11%. If the way to exist, you pay right? And so, for instance, if you're not going to feed the bonus to provide food and shelter, what does that mean? Is that nature will give you, nature will give you the system you to exist.
Yes, it's nature. It's not like the nature of like the trees or the forest, right?
We are part of it. So in our society, we pay with dollars. So that's given by you. So what does that mean? That you need to do what you provide and give back to your community. That's the number we take care of.
Your definition of nature is society itself. It's part of nature. So your nature definition is a society that needs $1,500.
Yeah, but it's a way of being a number. We know on it, right? I mean, if you negotiate that amount of feed, that amount of food, that perfect, but end up the same. You need a given amount of food.
Yeah, I'd say that for nature itself, the growth rate is a natural log of E, which is 2.71%. But you guys have to they don't. If you actually consume more than that amount, actually the nature is not being replaceable quick enough.
So what you're saying that nature grow at a given rate.
Yeah, scientifically, it's at a natural log of E. It's if you look it up, you type it in Wikipedia, you will know that all nature grows by this rate.
Agree on a short run, but if you go on a full scale, long term, it does not grow. It's equilibrium.
No. It does grow by a rate of because it's consumed. Let's say it grows by a rate, but let's say it consumes other creatures consume it, and it grows. Let's say bacteria or trees grow by that rate, but other animals or feed on that. Of course, they consume it, and it becomes an equilibrium. But each individual animal trees they grow at a certain rate, which is this constant rate, So, but let's say the equilibrium comes when we have the life cycle where the fish would consume the smaller fishes and the smaller fish would consume the plankton and so on. It's the life cycle itself, but the plankton itself would grow at a certain rate.
Agree, but overall, because of the food chain, it goes back to an equilibrium, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the rate I place is to return to the equilibrium, guaranteed. So it's not only the growth of the inflation of the production itself. It's also to make sure that we go back to an equilibrium, considering everything, the whole food chain.
But you can adjust it. Let's say you make a mistake, 11% is too much. You can go back and adjust it to 8% or 7%.
The problem that if you go lower than 11%, you go back to a system where it's worth saving money. And the problem also is you cannot finance your existing in the right to exist. So this 11% is to make sure that every single living being has what it needs. It's like in the overall production, you extract the base income that every human being needs.
Yeah, in Asia, we had the hyperinflation where the currency decreases by more than 20%, and people they tried to spend the money as quickly as possible, and they had to need the wheelbarrows of currency to go buy a bread, you know. Like example in Vietnam, to buy a loaf of bread, it probably costs $1 million. You know, you're bringing because of hyperinflation.
Yeah, well, yeah, but because they don't have they don't have credit for buying their bread. Here,
Yeah,
you
so
will always
they
have a
spend the
credit
money
for
right
buying
away.
the
They
bread
spend it
and
right
having a shelter.
They don't save the money right away, so they spend the money as quickly as possible because it would decay or the next week. So there's no actually savings of the money.
Yeah.
So that's what you propose, right?
I propose a fixed decay rate. Yes, there is properly
People
sized.
won't saving any money, so but they're spending it as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Mike, any comment?
You know, I'm listening and learning because I think you both got more knowledge and understanding than I have of this yet. As you probably tell, I'm driven by emotional things, but that's what drives me to learn. You know, and if I think I can contribute, I obviously will.
Yes, I mean that's good. I mean, still your the way you piercing things are nice to hear about.
Go ahead, Michael. Explain more what you're doing. Sorry about so many questions.
No, that's fine. I mean, so that's totally good. But I mean, we need to validate things. So the idea is like more that doing the bookkeeping things. The value can decay. That's one thing. So that's an incentive. There's two reasons: an incentive to not to hoard the money, and the second is to pay for the basic need. So like I said, it's like you in the whole monetary the monetary mass, it's like you take a portion of it that is required for sustaining the whole system, so providing for the needs of every members, and that needs to be auto-financed by the system. So rather than giving a base revenue to everyone, you make the any saving decay that's financed the credit to everyone, a credit to live for everyone. So I understand that 11% can be steep for our current mindset, but it's to make sure that you can ask any time for a credit to the amount of 1,500 a month if you're living in the area you are.
You see, Michelle, in example, in Vietnam, what happened was there was hyperinflation, so it decreased every day the value of the money, and they want to spend it right away. But actually, they use some part of the money to buy gold to have a stable value to keep it. So the gold is another type of currency that they could use. So if yours is decaying so much, wouldn't people try to switch to another currency then use that for storage instead, or
well,
you know?
Yeah, I agree. But why would you switch to another currency when you can print your own?
The reason why is that the example is that if it's decreasing by 11% per year, actually one day it's going to come a zero value.
No, I mean,
going to be mostly worthless. So that's why they in Vietnam they purchase a gold to storage, because then afterwards, sometime then when there's a rainy day that they have emergency, when people become sick or something, they won't.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, nothing prevents you from buying scarce resources to save your money. I mean, that's fine. Once you want to want to spend it back, you will have to sell it, right? You have to sell your gold.
Yeah. They resell the gold. Yes, they resell the gold, or they use the gold in small quantities. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, you can save money in non-decaying things, right? It's your choice of spending your money, right?
Because since there's many currencies out there, people will have a tendency to switch, you know. If your is decaying by a certain amount, but people want to store value, they would probably switch to another currency to
Agree,
push back
but
yours.
you have pros and cons for every currency. I mean, mine decay because it gives you a free credit.
So there is of course use for your what you're designing for your currency, but the other just because people will not be satisfied 100% with just using yours and nothing else. Some people will switch, you know, back and forth. I think.
I mean, that's why we need to know how we interact with other currency and our system, right? Yes.
Go ahead,
So
Michelle. You know.
the system that I propose is it can be autonomous by itself. You can have make up a business like a startup, and then you have all your employee paid on that type of currency. That would work. Uh, the the fact that the people want to switch to other, meaning having some kind of exchange, it's fall in the same rules of export and import. If you have a closed system, every relation outside that system is part of an import and export.
Isn't it similar to sovereign keys in a way? What's the difference between sovereign keys and what you're setting up?
So we talk a little bit with Mike. The sovereign keys is based on a fixed monetary mass. So in that case, it's based again on a scarce system, and that's what I try to avoid is having something that is scarce, something that you want to keep, and that's why I'm not sure that people would go for gold, because if they go for gold, they go back to the old system, where you have the value of gold that fluctuates. You want to save some gold. You have the corruption and that type of thing.
Yeah, you know, you have the freedom of choice. You know, some people will prefer
Yes,
that. You know.
Mike, you want to say something?
Well, it's just the same sort of thing again. I mean, I don't think we have any. You know, we're talking like we've got some sort of choice as human beings and sadly animals too. But we have no choice. It's scientific. We talk science. Scientifically, it's obvious that we're heading for some really serious ecological problems, and happening is that we're heading for. We're on the edge of financial chaos. You know, I mean, there's all sorts of things. I mean, we talk gold. Russia and China are buying up lots of gold, and at the end of it, and this is very naive. We need three things to live, and more ideally, and the three things we need to live literally are air, water, and food. And the other two that are nice to have is love and health. And none of those things relate directly to money. We can't eat money or gold or silver or diamonds or any of those things, and they're only useful while we can exchange them for something that gives us life. But those things are not going to be there on any meaningful scale the way we're going, and that's what I don't have an answer to that. Except the one thing that did stick in my mind when I first started looking closely at blockchain is the expression, the internet of value, because we do all have value, and we do, it's worth something to somebody else. You made a good point, Michelle, about if somebody's a musician and someone else doesn't like music, then that musician doesn't have any value to that other person. But then you expanded on that by saying it's not one to one; it's one to many. It's one to a community, and we'll, the bottom line is we will be, I don't know when it is, nobody does, but we will be forced into making changes. My main thing, again, I'm repeating myself, is to be prepared for whatever changes may need to be made, and to contribute and to give things and so on. But it may not be very financially laudable, or but the bottom of it, I do a lot of research, and I'm not basing my thoughts on off the wall stuff. So yeah, sorry, I went on a bit there again, but you probably get a feeling of where I'm coming from, and I'm open to listening to everything that is going to be viable, to use a mildly financial term, which I don't mean it financially. We just need to be ready, and my own feeling is that there's certainly a growing number of people who realise, like the people in the ASC and Sovereign Keys and so on, but we need to be practical too, my opinion, and I think there's those with, we can't just pretend that we're gonna ascend to somewhere when there's no evidence that we will, for instance, and so I'm it's a little bit difficult for me to relate to that mindset. I can relate to what you're saying, Michelle, and I can relate to what you're doing, David, because it makes sense to me. There's a logic beneath, which we still have to adhere to. I'm sorry, I went on a bit.
I think you're totally right. Is that there is, if we go towards a society where there is no money at all, my system is closer to that. If we start today, what we need for transitioning there, the sovereign keys or the earth dollars are closer to the existing system. And so the question is, how do we scale between all those two? How do we exchange if we use pluralities of currencies? Like I said, there is advantages one versus the other. I want to part away from the problem we see in current financial system. So scarcity, greed, corruption, that type of thing. And that's why I propose something that is probably further or more fetched for some people, if I can say so. But it's something that if we imagine a society without money, we will still keep books, we will still do commerce, we will still exchange. And so how will we do that?
You see, this is David speaking. I think we cannot get to a point where there's a society with no money. I'll just explain why. Because it needs a consensus of 7 billion people agreeing to have no money, including the corporations. 51% of the corporations are larger than countries. So you're asking the corporations, multinational corporations, to agree with no money society, and to convince them to do that. And governments and everything, you will never get there, because you need 7 billion people. Even if two persons disagrees and creates a currency, we have broken the system, of no money, and it won't work, because once those two persons start exchanging of a currency, more people will join in more and more, and afterwards it's going to go back to the same system, unless you can convince corporations to agree to no money. If some of the person from the Zeitgeist movement, the Venus Project, or our resource-based economy, if they say, I have convinced Apple to agree to no money society, then after we can have a discussion. But they have not convinced any corporation. They have not set up any system that goes towards that for the last 100 years. There's been no cities, no towns, no governments, no corporations have agreed to that. So already 100 years has passed since Jacques Fresco proposed that, and will it take another 100 years? But maybe I'll never get there, because how you can get 7 billion people to have agreed to no money,
Well, do you have to have 7 people agree, or do you have to have small groups that use no money, a community that thrives?
Because the reason why it has to be the 7 billion people. Let's say you have a small community, right, that agree to exchange, right? Eventually, the husband, wife, grandparents, the children will be using money, and that will go into that system again of with those people, you know. So it is a sense that the people who actually propose no money is actually using other people's money. They're using their parents' money or children's money or mother's money or somebody or spouse's money to create that no money, because they are these people have a living no money lifestyle because money to support them.
Well, today we have to be part of both systems, that's for sure. But if you look at the collaborative, and there's a lot of co-ops, there is like the local currencies in cities where you detach from the normal normal money system, and you have it's like Amazon coupons, you know. So you said that the company does not won't deviate from the money thing, but the Amazon give gift cards, right? And it's a no money thing. For them, there is no money circulating when they.
Coupon is a source. Coupon is a currency. It is money. It's a form of money. Coupon.
Okay. Then I mean, it's just a question of, do we have a financial system that is token based, or coupons, money, or whatever, or it's a non-token based thing?
Let's say yes. Let's say I think you can run Michelle. You can run an experiment in a town, and you can prove your system working. Then we're going to support it, you know, because unless there's a lot of talk from the Zeitgeist movement, the Venus Project, resource-based economy, none of them haven't any group, even like a small city or commune or anything that is working. They are going around. Let's say example like even the Ubuntu, they want a no money society, and he's asking for donations for travel money to travel around the world. People donate money to travel. I mean, this is like hypocrisy here. You know, if you're promoting something no money, you don't have anything working. It's only preaching.
Yeah, I agree.
Get something working, Michelle, and after of course we'll support you after that, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, Michael. Mike.
You absolutely agree with you 100%, because it doesn't make any sense. It's a bit like one thing that's even worse than that in some ways, which is people who are very strongly in favour of the environment and protecting the environment and the biosphere, and then they're flying around the world to present at different places. You know, all those things have to go away. I've mentioned this a couple of times on the chat rooms for ASC, and it's not a popular statement, I know, but we can't. It's beyond money a little bit. We can't pretend to be really concerned about Mother Nature and our biosphere, and then carry on doing things that are tremendously damaging. It's slightly different, but I totally agree with you, David. I mean, you know, it's preaching. You're exactly right. It's preaching, and we don't need any more preaching. You know, we need some reality and occurrences. And you know, you're talking of zeitgeist. Sorry.
Exactly. You know, unless they present some working village or town, something working, doing that, then how we cannot believe them, because it's 100 years they've been talking about the same thing. And that's why when Michelle is to get a town to do this, Michelle, and we'll support you. You know,
I'm working on that. I'm working on starting small, because you have to be local before scaling. But I'm totally into implementing, making like a full startup where everybody is paid with that, and see how it goes.
Yeah, and also hypocrisy is also, if you're asking people for donations of money, US dollar or euros, or to do that, it's a hypocrisy.
No, I won't. I won't.
No.
The principle that I have in my system is that every individual needs to be autonomous. So that means that the difference between the current system, where you have workers that produce, and then the products are sold back to the consumer. The difference here that you have basic need. So that means the community gives you some values that you have to produce. Every living being is the value. So you have to produce, you have to be capable of working and give services, play music and all whatever to earn, so to speak, if we talk in old economy terms, to earn your living and your existence. And so that means that if you're not autonomous, that's for sure you rely on others to give you something, to provide for you. And that's where, I mean, I've seen those. I mean, there's a lot of groups there, they have great ideas, but they are still using their all gasoline cars and whatever. And then you have to be consistent with your things.
Exactly. I mean, people are using their gasoline cars, traveling around the world, asking people for donations and to promote the no money society, which is like, for me, it doesn't make sense. If you're promoting and asking of people for money all the time, it's like
I never ask for money. I still promote a no money AA society. But what I say is that, and I talked to you, Mike, in the past, is that imagine that you need $1,500 a month to provide for your needs. Imagine that you're capable only of producing $500 in that system. So what does that mean? That means you're not autonomous. What does that mean? It's your own responsibility to find the $1,000 left that's required for you to exist into a part-time job in the old society. Because the main rule is that we are in an equilibrium system. So that means you have to be able to produce what you consume. Otherwise, if you're left like that in nature, that you cannot produce what you need, you die off.
Yeah. How about the children and older people?
So yeah, exactly. So that means it's not true for everyone, but that's why the human species got into groups, community, society. Is that the amount of work that we put is capable of providing for the needs of the ones that are not capable of being autonomous. I mean, that's why we have the children, the old people, the sick, and all those things. That's because alone, I mean, if I put yourself in nature, I mean, are you capable of surviving? Some do, but some don't. However, if we get together, the chance of survival as a group is much higher. Why? Because we produce more. We can provide for our needs together. And that's why we get into society. And that's why all the extra production that the community is doing needs to be redistributed. It's the distribution of the dividends.
Makes sense.
Yes, but I see your point. And I fully agree that you will always have monetary system that will exist because some people, they like those and then they are okay with that.
I think corporations, corporations themselves, is that they're not going to go away. Corporations,
well, if you based on the corporation as a for-profit corporation, yes. However, that if you're in a system where you're guaranteed to have your needs provided by some kind of means, then you won't work for profit. And that's changed the dynamic. A non-profit organization that where they don't care about profit, they care about taking the needs of their people, and they might be okay with a no money type of system. Any comment on that?
I think there's my comment is that I think get your things operational will assist you. Michelle, and get something going, then afterwards, it will prove that it functions, because until it's practically operational, we can say it might not work. Like let's example,
Exactly.
the let system is the time system where you have positive time and negative time, and it's like the system, but it's not operational anymore because there was not enough people participating. Was worldwide, it died.
Yeah, you're right. There's a problem of adoption thing is that some system they have their value if people use them. If it's not used, then it's no value. So that's why also I try to move away from token-based, so monetary-based things, is because like the keys today, the value of the keys is how much people use them, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not the usage, exchange. What can you exchange it for that you
Right.
could use in your
Yes.
life? That is the value. If it's not exchangeable to practical things like bread and water or something, it's kind of like the basics of life. It's unusable.
Yes. So I get your message. We have to do a real world experiment. And that's how, Mike, I count on you for helping me on all the software part, right? To be able to deploy it.
Like I mentioned, I have a good number of friends in software, and I know that that blockchain, or maybe it's Ethereum, one of them anyway uses two languages predominantly, which is Go and,
Go, yes.
and JavaScript.
Go
Yeah.
and
So I've certainly got a good number of contacts in the JavaScript world. But yeah, I mean, and I like I mentioned to you, I've set up. I've got some more to do with it, but I've set up IPFS here. So I've just got more learning to do, basically, which I'm doing slowly but surely.
that's wonderful.
And then go on, sorry, David.
Mike, would you offer your services to assist also the Earth Dollar, or?
Oh yeah, that's for sure too. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just so you know, David, my main. Go on.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, because I think this is important, and I've mentioned this to Dakota several times. My skill set is in technologies in capacity planning and tuning and load determination and so on. And if any of these projects are successful, they're going to face that. So anything I can do, David, that's my most direct worthy of helping. I'm more than happy to help.
Do you understand the e-nodes for Ethereum? Just curiosity, because we're stuck in our e-nodes.
Excuse me. Obviously, I don't know. Is there a problem with email in Ethereum?
No, e-nodes. E-nodes.
Oh, sorry, e-nodes.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't got direct. I'm not going to say I have because I haven't got direct experience in that. I mean, I do have a very deep knowledge base of things like networks and data storage and databases and so on. But I'll look at that. I haven't had any direct experience of it. I mean, I've been watching Ethereum since they first emerged, and of course they had that unfortunate incident. It's a different matter, but they had that unfortunate incident these last few days, which it's interesting because I think I said this earlier in the conversation. Both Ethereum and Bitcoin are facing quite stiff challenges at the moment, which is be interesting to see what happens.
We're setting up our fork of Ethereum, but we're running into trouble because the person who was helping us, he fell down and broke his leg, and he had surgery in the hospital, so was down for a few days. So I was wondering if there's anybody that can help us with the e-note, and we ran into trouble setting it up. It's not communicating with each other. The e-notes is basically like think about like a DNS server that works with the Ethereum, that coordinates all the servers together, that allows all the world server to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Right. I'll look into that, David. I'll find anybody who, if I'm not worthy, I won't waste your time. That's for certain. I'll see if I can find anybody who might be able to help. So
Yes.
I'll see if I can help.
Yeah, that's good, because also Mike, if he wants to run his credit system on our blockchain, it's possible also. We're set up to run. We're as a modified clone of Ethereum.
Okay.
And we need to upgrade, scale it up to be able to handle very large volumes of transactions, because we have signed with indigenous nations 6.5 million people for the blockchain, and with the peace agreement between the two African countries, it could add another 100 million people there, which is actually, it's like 20 times the Bitcoin system is handling right now.
Yeah.
Good.
That's a considerable number, to say the least, and
yeah, but that's a lot. So that's why we have to be able to scale up quickly.
Yes, understood. Well, certainly I've got direct experience on those sorts of things, most definitely, and how to gauge what may be needed. But I will look at that specific situation that you have, and I'll see if I can come up with anything that's useful to you on that, as I say.
So thank you so much.
Of course, you can always reach out, David. I mean, you probably, I'm a genuine person, whatever else I may be, and I have a great deep care for our ecosystems and biosphere and so on, and that's my main reason for being here.
So because through the Earth Jubilee, we want to announce the end of extreme poverty by November 11th.
Okay.
So our goal is to get that going so it can lift 1.3 billion people out of poverty. We will have the financial resources to do that. I know it's not like the same as the system that Michelle is proposing, because it's using it's not like the old system, because our Earth dollar has a stable buying power. So if you buy bread at $1 Earth dollar now, 10 years the same $1 Earth dollar. So it's not the inflationary or deflationary type of currency. It's a stable buying power currency. So it also prevents hoarding, and also to spend quickly at the same time, because it's a stable buying power.
Yeah, like I said, sorry.
So the fact is stable. That means you don't speculate on it, right?
Exactly. There's no speculation, because it doesn't go, because we have an automated reserve that can go in and buy Earth dollar from the currency market, increase or decrease it automatically. So there is actually no people don't want to speculate on it, because it doesn't go up or down in value very much. So it is stable. There's no speculation, in a sense that there's no it's not worth it, because it stays at the same price buying power.
So if it stays at the same buying price, so does that mean that the overall monetary mass is constant also?
No, the monetary mass is actually, it increases or decreases in value. It's elastic, so it increases or decreases in value, the monetary mass. But the stable buying power is according to the price. Let's say the Earth dollar increases in value according to inflation. Let's say if the US dollar has inflation, it decreases in value. So the Earth dollar to buy a bread today, and 10 years we're going to buy a bread the same, but the US dollar would probably cost more to buy a bread.
Yes.
So it's a stable buying power. It's linked to buying power of.
Yeah. So the opinion that I had is that if we have a stable buying power, we have a given number of people on the planet. That means you have a total need or amount of monetary mass that is required for making these people live, right?
Yes, yes. Ours is our elastic is because it's backed by assets. So it's actually as long as we have more assets, we can actually print more money, and it stays. The buying power still stays the same, but it increases the volume of currency in the world as more people use it. You know.
Yeah, it's scaled to the people that use it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's great to hear too, David. You know, about the lack of speculation, because that's, you know, more of the same thing in my opinion. You know, more fiat, basically.
Yeah, so it does stop the speculation there, our currency.
Great. Yeah, I was just going to say, I just typed in the chat in 5 minutes. It'll be 2 p.m. here. I'm going to have to leave the conference, but you know, I've learned a lot from it, most definitely, and you know, we'll all continue conversing one way or another.
I have to go soon. Also, I have
Same thing for us. So.
All right.
So, well, that was nice talking to you. I mean, that's conclude probably our talk. We talk a little bit about the system I propose, a little bit of Earth dollar. Next topic is probably see how we can have those currency interoperate and exchange type of thing. Because that's also an interesting point is how do we link Earth dollar to keys, to coins, to quality coins, and that type of thing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it sounds good. I would like to see a working community using your system, Michelle. And we then can actually fine tune it.
Yes.
Like
working on it.
Yeah, so that'd be lovely to see. Even like a small, even like 20, 30 people to start, or would be good.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.